Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't make this up, YouTube. I can't make this up. Konami's forbidden banlist department are bums. They're bums. They have no idea what they're doing. It makes, like, honestly, it makes me question sometimes, like, why am I working where I'm working at, when in reality, I should be working in Konami's forbidden banlist department. Because if I was working for them, right, I would be getting paid to do absolutely nothing, right? I would be getting paid not to know how to do my job. Okay, a Rising Heart got banned. We're not surprised by that. In fact, we all knew this, right? The only shocking part was the fact that people purposely stopped playing this deck the past couple of months with the hopes of it not getting hit. That was a conspiracy, right? Not a conspiracy theory, an actual conspiracy, and it failed miserably, right? But the thing is, right, it wasn't just a Rising Heart that was supposed to get banned. Dimensional Barrier, Eradicator, Pot of Prosperity, Thrust. There's a long list of cards, in my personal opinion, that should have gotten hit. But the entire community can all agree that the 4 cards I just listed were definitely deserved to get banned, right? But they did it. They did it. So what we're left with, a Rising Heart getting banned by itself. And with that being said, the only Cassiopeia card you're going to be seeing that gets summoned is probably Cassiopeia Fenrir. That's it. The rest of the deck, no. As for Limited goes, Bistio Magma Hut and Chaos Space. Well, I'm not surprised that those cards got hit. In fact, I had a conversation recently with some Dragon Link players, and I asked them, because, if Konami were to hit cards in the Dragon Link deck, what do you think they would have hit? Especially after Dragon Link's won Worlds, the trend is whatever deck wins Worlds typically gets hit, especially if it's dominant in the TCG, right? Because Worlds format has its own format, but decks that typically dominate in TCG and win Worlds typically also get hit in the TCG, right? So we agreed that the cards that would hit would be Magma Hut or Lebellion, right? And to no surprise, Konami chose Magma Hut. I personally prefer to hit Magma Hut as well. I personally prefer that either Magma Hut gets banned or put to 1. Why? Because that card being at 3 is completely ridiculous. It's literally the best dragon card ever printed in history. And I will sit and I will die on this hill. It is the best dragon card printed in history. Guard Dragons have nothing on it. Victory Dragon has nothing on it. Eclipse Wyvern has nothing on it. Like honestly speaking, if they ever print a dragon card more insanely busted than Magma Hut, I wouldn't be surprised because, talking about Konami here. But the fact that it did get printed and was able to run around for, I want to say, almost a year, if not a year. If not a year, yeah. If not a year, is insane to me. Completely insane. The only reason why Cassiopeia was as dominant as it was this past year is because it had a great matchup against Dragon Links, in my opinion. If Dragon Links, was running around and Cassiopeia didn't get printed, I'm under belief that Dragon Links would have been the best deck, if not the only good deck to run this past year, just from what we saw, right? Because the fact that it shits on dark and light strategies and promotes a crazy board that doesn't let you play Yu-Gi-Oh! And can grind and play through hand traps is just insane, right? Shifter and Joel leaving the format definitely had me a bit nervous because, those cards were here because of, cash and their Rising Heart strategy, right? And when I first saw in the Forbidden column that a Rising Heart was banned, I was a little nervous because once Stroll and Shifter leaves the format, Dragon Link's going to be running, on the loose. And the fact that they hit, the core cards of the Dragon Link strategy makes me a bit relieved. But at the same time, I am also aware and, experienced enough to say Dragon Links is not going nowhere. It's still going to be running around. It's going to take a lot more than just those 2 cards for you to stop seeing that deck, So I do definitely think that if their attempt was to kill the deck, it was, not good. If their attempt was to weaken it and, give other decks the opportunity to breathe and be able to go back and forth and compete with it, then I don't know. Need more time to see on that one. For the unlimited, we got back Herald the Orange Light and Gazelle. So Herald the Orange Light is a card that I believe is, insane. And the fact that it's back at 3 is going to have an entire, I want to say, format warping effect moving forward, right? Because decks like YuGiOh Tear is still around. It was playable in the format where Horizon Heart was running around, right? So the fact that Horizon Heart's gone now and that graveyard strategies have the ability to compete again, I'm very nervous for YuGiOh Tear because Herald the Orange Light not only gave them the ability to interact with your opponent going second, but also helped them to promote a board as well because their targets for Orange Light, which are their YuGiOh cards, allows them to manipulate graveyard or mill 5 cards from both players' decks, right? And honestly speaking, I don't know about you, but when I go first, right, and it's my turn, right, I expect it to be my turn. Whereas with YuGiOh Tear, it's our turn when they resolve Herald the Orange Light, typically speaking, right? Granted, there's a potential that they just go Orange Light, discard Orange Light, negate 1 card, cool. But worst case scenario, they go Orange Light, dump a YuGiOh monster, mill 5, fusion summon, continue to rip up your board, make a board of their own, build some advantages. I don't like that. And, granted, Kit Kalos is still banned, so they're not going to gain too much advantage off of just milling, a couple of tier monsters on my turn. But at the same time, I'm still nervous at the possibility that can do. As far as Solomon Great goes, I don't think Solomon Great ever needed 3 Gazelles, right? Now, I'm not saying don't put Gazelle back at 3. No, I'm saying the deck never needed Gazelle at 3 to compete or be good. What made the deck able to compete and be good was the fact that people play the card called Nibiru. Nibiru running around basically makes it so that anyone who's playing Salad has to know one thing. If my opponent has Nib, I lose. If my opponent doesn't have Nib, I can win, but I might still lose, right? And in my honest opinion, if your deck loses to Nib, then it's probably a bad deck and you probably should play something else, right? So, with that being said, how do I rate this ban list? I would give it a 6 out of 10, right? Definitely a 6 out of 10. And as far as what happens to this game moving forward, well, let's think about it, right? Pro didn't get hit, Labyrinth didn't get hit, Rescue Ace didn't get hit, Unchained didn't get hit. And those are like the 4 decks right now that have been pretty consistently topping, right, events. Now, granted, there's a couple of other names I could have mentioned, like Floowandereeze, Dragon Links, there's a long list of decks that's been topping recently, right? But in my honest opinion, right, I'm under the impression that since there is no longer a walking macrocosmos running around and people are more likely to cut Droll and shift throughout their main decks now, the deck to beat now is Pearly, right? So everyone's still gonna be playing the Book of Moon package in their decks. Like if they're not, they're lost their goddamn mind, right? And what makes Pearly very unique is the fact that it can go first or second. It has a fairly good time going second. And cards like Droplets, I definitely can see potentially being played in Pearly. Only because of the fact that you can Droplet to your opponent board, crap get open, either kill them or end on Zeus and Noir, or just end on the Noir, or end on Zeus and some hand traps. Like, it's just so many opportunities. And not to mention the deck can draw 4 as well. Like, the deck is just so resilient, so powerful, and so consistent. I just don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. Another deck I think has a high chance of being really good is Dragon Links. And that's because the deck just has so much consistency, grind, and the ability to just pump out an FTK board that says you can't play. The decks that I think might come back that have been going for kind of a while, maybe Mathmex, right? Maybe Tier, right? And the decks that I think are going to stay around, which will be Rescue Ace, Unchained, and Lab. So for YCS Indiana, definitely think it's going to be a diverse format like before. Like, you're probably going to see 5 or 6 good decks running around. I don't think it's going to be any particular decks that are just going to like just dominate the entire game and make it like a tier 0 format. As far as the Trinity goes, it's really hard to say because for YCS Indiana, Age of Overlords is coming out, and there's a lot of crazy strategies coming out of that set. So, in my honest opinion, if you're not prepared for the stuff that's coming out in the new set, you're gonna have a hard time. I don't know. Like, this ban list is crazy because so many decks have the opportunity of topping. You know, so many decks have the opportunity of competing. So we're gonna have potentially a 10 deck format. You know, definitely a 10 deck format. Like, not just off the top of my head. Like, I'm just thinking of all these decks that could potentially compete. So yeah, I definitely think that the ban list is still a 6 out of 10 because it could have hit more cards and make the format a little more interactive and a little bit more skill oriented, right? I don't like the RNG of me opening up a thrust or opening up a tactics and then getting to a blowout card or blowing out my opponent, you know? So yeah, that's just my thoughts on this on the matter. But yeah, if you have your own thoughts or feedbacks of the ban list or anything I've said, go in the comment section, drop your thoughts. I have no problem having a conversation with you guys and going back and forth and picking some brains. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel. More content on the way. I'm going to have a conversation probably tomorrow. I'm going to drop a video discussing Konami's decisions on their product line and how they've been mishandling the community and its second market. So yeah, until next time, guys. Peace.